Hey everyone, welcome back to yet another video. Today we are going to do our picks for week 16 of the NFL season. Last week, we ended up going 9-7 and putting our record to 131 to 92 overall. I want to see if we can get less than 100 losses and picks wrong, but I highly doubt that would happen at this point. It's more likely that we could at least try to get under 105. Because that's probably the best case scenario at this point. But yeah, let's just go ahead and keep it moving. And we start off the week with tonight's game between the Los Angeles Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. The Rams, they ended up beating the Lions 41-34 this past week in a pretty good game overall for the Rams. The defense probably could have done a little bit better, but it was against the Lions offense. So there's nothing that bad to be said about that. They're facing the Seattle Seahawks, who struggled against the Colts, let's just say the least. They only won 18-16 against them. And yeah, and the offense really did not do all too much. The defense was able to hold off the Colts, but I don't know how much that could last. I'm going to go ahead and say the Rams win this game. I think Sam Darnold will struggle in this game as well. He did struggle the first time against the Rams. The Seahawks did almost win that one, but I felt like with how much Sam Darnold struggled, that maybe it should have been a little bit further of a point spread. But this time, I think the Rams do get it. I think they sweep the Seahawks as the Rams remain the 1 seed. Next up, we have the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Washington Commanders. The Eagles is just won in a shutout against the Raiders. And yeah, they just absolutely played well in that game. It was against the Raiders, though, but they don't face that much of a tougher opponent this matchup with the Commanders. The Commanders, they did win over the Giants in 29-21, but how much better is the Giants really than like the Eagles as well? Because the Giants don't really have that great of a defense either, and the Giants also only has 2 wins. The Eagles is a better team than the Giants, so I don't think there's going to be an upset here. I think the Eagles should win this Saturday matchup. And I think the Eagles might just cover the spread considering how they played against the Raiders as well. I'm kind of expecting a little bit kind of like last week compared to like the weeks beforehand, just because Commanders don't have that great of a defense either. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Eagles here. Next up, we have the Chicago Bears is facing the Green Bay Packers. I don't know why I flipped those two, since I usually say the away team first. But for the Packers, they ended up losing to the Broncos 34-26, and they got a little bit injured in that game. They did. Christian Watson got injured. He might end up playing this week, though. But Micah Parsons is out for that defense. And I think that may impact this game. The Bears, we won 31-3 against the Cleveland Browns. And our offense looks good, and defense, so the Browns isn't really all that great. And we stopped the Browns defensively. And for this game, I'm going to keep saying that we split. I think the Bears win this one. The Packers won the last one while the Packers were at home. This time, the Bears get it at home, as I think this series will split, and the Bears remain first in the NFC North. Next up, we have the Buffalo Bills at the Cleveland Browns. The Bills. Hey. You won 35-31 against the Patriots. You got a big win. Could this be a letdown game? Maybe, maybe not. The Bills, they were great against the Patriots. Maybe not too much in the first half, but the second half things went clicking. The Browns, like we were just saying about, they lost 31-3 against the Bears, and honestly, I have not been impressed by their play for like the past few weeks now. And I would say that this may be a letdown game for the Bills in performance-wise, but I still think the result is the same, that the Bills win. The Bills might still even cover the spread, even with a down game, because of how bad the Browns have been recently. I'm just going to say that. But look for the Bills to win here no matter what, as I think even in a letdown game, they're that much better than the Browns. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Chargers going up against the Dallas Cowboys. The Chargers ended up beating the Chiefs and eliminated them from playoff contention. That was huge for the NFL in general, just seeing the Chiefs be eliminated. But it also was a pretty good game for them, considering they are still in the AFC West playoff race. However, things are still looking unlikely for their division hopes. The Cowboys, they lost a tough one, 34-26 against the Minnesota Vikings. The offense looks pretty good. The defense did not at all. But when I look at this game, how much I know they've won both games even since then, but how much is Justin Herbert's broken hand going to impact this game? The Eagles, alright, they've been more on the slump recently. The Chiefs, they got injured near the end of the game. How's that going to hold up against the Cowboys? The Cowboys' defense isn't that great, so the Chargers can score points in them. It's just how many points can the Chargers score with that broken hand? And I think the Cowboys' offense is good enough to where I think they actually get the win here. I think this will be a bounce-back game for the Cowboys after losing last week. Obviously, by now, if the Eagles win, they would be eliminated from playoff contention, but I think they do end up having a bounce-back game, against the Chargers, as the Chargers go to fall to 10-5, and the Cowboys go back to .500. Next up, we have the Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Tennessee Titans. The Chiefs, they just got eliminated from playoff contention, and Patrick Mahomes is out for the season now. So there's a lot of question marks about this team right now, if they can even compete. The Tennessee Titans this past week, they didn't do all too much, but I think they had the best overall game yet, offensively at least. He says Cam Ward didn't look all too bad, and Tony Pollard for like 2 straight weeks has been killing it. And I think this momentum for the Titans actually keeps going in this game. I think the Titans will win this game against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are just out of it. Some players are probably going to retire. Mahomes is out, so there's not all too much to be playing for with the Chiefs anymore. There's not all too much to be playing for with the Titans either. However, I do see them going for the win and keeping this momentum going for the next season. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Titans here, as I just think they are better offensively right now. Next up, we have the New York Jets going up against the New Orleans Saints. The Jets, they kind of lost. Is the most expected result of the slate, honestly. Losing to Jaguars 48-20. Most expected, blowout, I would say. And Brady Cook has not really been all too great recently, as he has struggled each of the 2 weeks so far. They're facing the New Orleans Saints, who, might I say, is probably the best team in the NFC South right now. Yeah, the Saints ended up beating the Panthers this past week in 20-17 after beating the Bucs the week before. So I do think the Saints are the best team right now. Sadly, they're already eliminated, but I think the Saints keep this win streak going against the Jets. I like Tyler Shough a lot better than Brady Cook right now, as Tyler Shough has been able to kill it out there. And yeah, I just do not trust Brady Cook, and the rushing game is just not that great either for the Jets right now. Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings going up against the New York Giants. The Vikings, they ended up winning 34-26 against the Cowboys, and as much slack as I've given JJ McCarthy, he's been pretty good in the past 2 weeks. He's against the Commanders and the Cowboys defense. And now they face another NFC East team with a not great defense. So, hey, you know what? I think JJ McCarthy will actually perform this game. They're going up against the New York Giants, who, yeah, you lost to the Commanders, and I may as well just pick the Vikings here. The Vikings have beat the Commanders and the Cowboys the past 2 weeks. JJ McCarthy looked good in those. Jackson Dalton didn't really do all too much against that Commanders defense, which, compared to JJ McCarthy the week before, is kind of telling. You feel like who is better offensively. So I am going to go with the Vikings here. And both teams are eliminated, but the Giants, they're another game closer to the number one pick. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Carolina Panthers. The Bucs, they, do I even have to say about this? Like, they just blew it to the Falcons. Like, 3rd and 28? Yeah. So somehow 28 to 3 and 28 actually worked out for the Falcons. That's beyond the point. The Buccaneers are a mess right now. They are. As at least it looks better with Mike Evans, but they aren't really all that great yet. They're going up against the Panthers, who lost to the Saints this past week. And over the past few weeks, I have gotten a little bit more in favor with the Saints, like just how they are playing wise, because they beat the Bucs, they beat the Panthers now. If the Saints aren't that bad of a team now, so there's that to say about that loss. And I am going to go with the Panthers here. I think just the inconsistencies of Bryce Young, even with those inconsistencies, I think this is going to be one of his good games. It's been like every other game that he has a good or bad performance so far. And I think this game is going to be one of those good games. Now, Week 18, he may end up being a little bit different, depending on what happens then. But I'm going to go with the Panthers here in Week 16, and we'll still see these two in Week 18. Next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Miami Dolphins. The Bengals, yeah, they just absolutely did not do anything against the Ravens. 24-0? What happened? Yeah, I seriously just still don't know. But they're facing the Miami Dolphins, who lost pretty badly against the Steelers on Monday night, as Tua has actually now been benched. Yeah, Tua's been benched now. So, as much as I'm like, a little bit more eerie with the Bengals right now. I still think they end up winning this game. If Tua was playing, I probably would have picked the Dolphins. But now that Quinn Ewers is playing, well, it is first start, I may as well just go with the Bengals here. Now, yes, Quinn Ewers is playing probably the best possible defense to have this first start against. But I don't think he has that much success on his first game. I think the Bengals is going to win. And yeah, both teams are out of playoff contention, so it's not really that important of a game anyways. Next up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars going up against the Denver Broncos. This is a good one. This is an actual good one. The Jaguars, they won 48-20 this past week against the Jets. The offense looks good. The defense overall looks good. And for the Broncos, they won against the Packers 34-28 and 26. The offense looks good. The defense looks good. I think this is going to be one of those mid-scoring, great games. And this is one of them that I was a little bit more questionable with in just picking in general. But for this game, I think the better overall team right now is going to win. And I have to say that recently it is the Jaguars that is a better overall team. I still don't entirely trust the Broncos against a good defense. I know they did last week against the Packers, but Michael Parsons did get injured in the middle of that game as well to really say that. And the Jaguars, they've been clicking. Both of these teams are hot. They've won 5 in a row or more. So you got to give both of these teams some credit throughout the season so far. But I think right now, the Jaguars are a little bit better of a team. And I think they have that better offense to go with to offset Denver's defense. But I'm not entirely sure if Denver's offense will offset the Jaguars defense. So I'm going to go with the Jaguars here as the Broncos. No matter what, the Broncos is going to remain the one team in this one, but the Jaguars keep hold of the AFC South. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons going up against the Arizona Cardinals. The Falcons. Yeah, they ended up winning a close one with the Bucs, 29-28, with a 3rd and 28 going their way. That's so funny to see. But yeah, the Falcons ended up in playing great against the Bucs. Kirk Cousins just played well, and the run game got going for the Falcons. The Cardinals. Yeah, they lost 40-20 against the Texans, letting the Texans look good on offense. And if they can let the Texans look good on offense, they probably can let the Falcons look good on offense. I'm just going to say that right here. I think the Falcons end up winning the game. I just don't see the Cardinals winning in another game in this season. With the Falcons here, they have the Rams week 18. Who do they face week 17 again? I don't remember, but they might not win that one either. The Cardinals are just a bad team right now, and I just think the Falcons are a better team. So I'm going to go with the Falcons. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers going up against the Detroit Lions. The Steelers, they had a big win against Miami, and I want to say that they're possibly going to be back, but at the same time, Miami is not a cold weather team, and that was a cold weather game to really say. But at least with that game, the offense looked really good. The Lions. Yeah, they lost a tough one against the Rams, which at this point, for a lot of people, it was to be expected. I did pick the Lions last week, but you know what? I just thought the Lions was in the realm of possibly winning that one. They didn't, but I thought that one was a more 50-50 game. But this game, yeah, there's not really much else to say, other than that I think the Lions is just a better offense in general. And I don't really trust either defense in this game because the Steelers has not really been all too great defensively. The Lions, they have not either. So I think it's just going to be better offense, and I just trust the Lions a lot more. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Lions here. If the Lions rushing game does not get going in this game, then I'm not sure if I can entirely trust the Lions offense to propel them to the playoffs, which they're already on the outside of right now. Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders going up against the Houston Texans. Yeah, do I have to say either of these results? Like, the Raiders lost 31-0. The Texans won 40-20 against the Cardinals. Do I really have to say anything about that? Here's the thing, though. I'm not sure if the Texans will be that good offensively 2 weeks in a row. So, it is against the Raiders, though, so I could end up being wrong about that part. But no matter what, I do think the Texans win this game. The Texans has the defense to stop the Raiders, no matter who plays QB for them. And then for the offense, yeah, they aren't the best, but they could at least score on the Raiders defense. So, meanwhile, I'm probably going to pick the Raiders against the spread, just based on previous games the Texans had this year. I still think the Texans should absolutely win this game. And yeah, there's not really much else here to be said. Next up, we have a lightly flexed game this Sunday night between the New England Patriots and the Baltimore Ravens. I'm so glad they flexed those Bengals Dolphins out of this slot. I'm so glad they did. But for the Patriots, they ended up blowing it to the Bills this past week, 35-31. But in that first half, Drake May looked good. The rushing game was able to hit it off. But then the Bills was able to come back. The Ravens, they shut out the Bengals 24-0 in a game where the rushing game played good. Jackson probably had his best game in a little while, but I still don't know how they shut out the Bengals completely. But within this game, I do see the Patriots having a little bit of a comeback. Well, not comeback. Well, they did lose, so comeback win. Against the Ravens. The Ravens will have the rushing game going against the Patriots, but I think the Patriots' offense is a little bit better overall. And I could see it being the other way because the Patriots hasn't exactly been facing the best competition. However, the Ravens' offense has just not been performing even against those worst competitions recently, to where I kind of have to trust the Patriots' offense more. So I am going to go with the Patriots here, and the Ravens continue to fall out in the AFC North playoff race. And finally, we have the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Indianapolis Colts. The 49ers handle some business, defeating the Titans 37-24. And offense is fault. The defense maybe not as much, considering the Titans got to 24, but they were able to handle business on the defensive side as well. They're facing the Indianapolis Colts, who almost won against the Seahawks 18-16. But how much of that is really based on, at least for the defense, how much is really on stopping the Seahawks versus the Seahawks not showing up? I do think the 49ers absolutely win this game. I just trust the 49ers offense more than I trust Philip Rivers right now. It'll be the second game back for Philip Rivers, but against the 49ers defense, I'm not entirely sure if that will work out very well, especially when Philip Rivers could only get to like 130-something yards, I think, from last week. So I'm gonna stick with the 49ers here, as they should end up winning this game. But with that should be the end of this video. If you guys liked it, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!